The church was completely silent. More than 300 guests stood to their feet. The organ echoed through the room. The doors slowly opened, and there she was, Emma Carter, beautiful, elegant, radiant, dressed in a white wedding gown that looked like something out of a fairy tale. She smiled as she began walking toward the altar. At the other end, Daniel, a man she loved more than anything, couldn't stop smiling. Everything had finally fallen into place. Their families were together. Their friends had traveled from different states. The flowers, the music, the decorations. It was the perfect wedding. Or so everyone thought. Because halfway down the aisle, Emma suddenly stopped walking. The music continued. The guests exchanged confused looks. Daniel frowned. He smiled nervously, thinking she was simply overwhelmed by emotion. Then, Emma slowly lifted her eyes. Not toward Daniel, toward the crowd. She looked at every single face, almost as if she wanted to remember them forever. A single tear rolled down her cheek. She whispered, "I'm sorry." Then she turned around, walked back down the aisle, opened the church doors, and disappeared. She never came back. For years, people told the same story. She abandoned him. She got scared. She didn't love him. She ruined that man's life. Nobody defended Emma, not even once. Except, she never defended herself either. She simply vanished. 20 years later, her son, Michael, still hated her for what happened that day. He had spent his entire life believing one thing, that his mother had destroyed their family for no reason. He had no idea. Everything he believed was a lie. 20 years earlier, nobody imagined that wedding would become the most talked about event in the entire town. Emma and Daniel had been together since college. They weren't wealthy, they weren't famous, but everyone admired them. Daniel was kind, patient, hardworking. Emma was warm, compassionate, the kind of woman who remembered everyone's birthday, who volunteered at children's hospitals, who stopped to help strangers change flat tires. People often joked, if anyone deserves a happy ending, it's those two. Their wedding became the biggest celebration the town had seen in years. Children ran around the gardens, friends laughed beneath strings of glowing lights. Relatives hugged people they hadn't seen in years. Inside the bridal room, Emma sat quietly. Her bridesmaids chatted excitedly around her, but Emma wasn't listening. She kept staring at one small white envelope resting on the table. No name, no return address. Someone had slipped it under the door only minutes earlier. One bridesmaid noticed. "Emma, aren't you going to open it?" Emma hesitated. Something about it made her heart race. Slowly, she opened the envelope. Inside, there was only one photograph. Her smile disappeared instantly. The color drained from her face. One bridesmaid laughed. "What is it?" Emma quickly folded the photograph. "It's nothing." But it wasn't nothing. Not even close. Because the photograph showed something impossible. Someone had been watching her. Emma quietly excused herself. She walked into the hallway, looked around to make sure nobody was there, then unfolded the picture again. It showed a little boy, about 5 years old, standing outside a small blue house. Written across the back, in black ink, were 7 words: "Marry Daniel, and he dies today." Emma stopped breathing. The hallway suddenly felt cold. She looked toward the church entrance. Guests continued arriving, completely unaware that somewhere nearby, someone was watching. Someone
who already knew exactly what Emma was going to do. Emma looked toward the altar one last time, toward the man she loved. Then, without telling anyone, she made the most heartbreaking decision of her life. She walked away. And with that single decision, she became the villain in everyone else's story. But what if walking away wasn't betrayal? What if it was love?
20 years passed. The wedding became nothing more than an old memory to the town. But not to Daniel. And certainly not to his son. Michael Carter was now 23 years old. Tall, quiet, hardworking. The kind of young man who kept his emotions locked away behind a calm expression. To everyone around him, he appeared strong. But inside, there was a wound that had never healed. A wound caused by one question. Why did my mother leave? Growing up, Michael heard hundreds of versions of the story. Some people whispered, she abandoned her family. Others said, she found another man. A few simply called her selfish. Every version painted Emma as the villain. And after hearing the same story for 20 years, Michael believed it. Daniel never spoke badly about Emma. Whenever Michael asked, his father would simply say, your mother made her choice. Nothing more. No anger, no insults, just silence. That silence became louder than any explanation. As the years went by, Michael stopped asking questions. He convinced himself he didn't need answers anymore. His mother had walked away. That was enough. Or so he thought. Every year, on the anniversary of the wedding, Daniel quietly drove to the old church. He never went inside. He simply parked across the street, sat in the driver's seat, and stared at the building for a few minutes. Then he drove away. Michael noticed this tradition when he was 12. He asked his father once, "Why do we come here?" Daniel smiled sadly. Some places never stop holding memories. Michael didn't understand. One rainy afternoon, Michael came home earlier than usual. The house was unusually quiet. His father wasn't in the living room. He wasn't in the kitchen either. Michael eventually found him in the attic, surrounded by dusty boxes, old photo albums, wedding decorations, and dozens of unopened letters tied together with a faded blue ribbon. Daniel quickly closed the box. These are just old things. Michael nodded, but something caught his attention. A wedding photograph. His father, standing alone at the altar, looking toward the church doors, waiting, even though he already knew she wasn't coming back. Michael picked up the photograph. For the first time, he truly saw the pain on his father's face. Not anger, not embarrassment, heartbreak. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He kept staring at the photograph. His entire life, he had hated the woman who walked away. But now, for the first time, he wondered, what if there was more to the story? The thought disappeared as quickly as it came. No, if there was another reason, Dad would have told me. He placed the photograph back into the box, closed the lid, and tried to move on. A few weeks later, Daniel collapsed at work. The phone call came while Michael was in a meeting. He rushed to the hospital. Doctors worked for hours. Finally, a physician walked into the waiting room. We managed to stabilize him, but his heart is very weak. He'll need surgery soon. Michael sat down, his hands trembling. He had always believed his father was invincible,